Hello and welcome to There's Only Trash Here podcast, episode 38. The date today is the 12th of the 1st, 2014. Did you see what I did there? I mixed it up. I didn't say the month, I said the 1st. So this is more of the cutting edge new podcast we were talking about last week. It's happening this week.
Our standards are dropping severely, aren't they?
They really are. It's just, let's just get it out of the way. That's what the attitude is.
We have to make a point about the date. Come on. I think we're doing some kind of American thing where you were saying going the other way around, but then no, you just said it weird.
Yeah, I said it in the right order, just I said the number, which really isn't that special, but it is to me, goddammit.
Well, at least someone enjoyed it then.
At least that's one person, guaranteed.
Yeah.
I don't know if we count any more people on top of that, but I like to think so.
If you liked it, send an email to
onlytrashhitpodcast@gmail.com.
There you go.
Oh, we did actually get an email as well. We can answer that too.
Yeah.
This is very exciting stuff.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, I guess we could go straight into news because we don't have to give out any awards, and I don't want to talk about Bernard's watch game.
Understandably so, yeah. 2013 is so last year.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Let's move on.
I'm not going to laugh, but I did understand the joke.
Not even a slight exhale of air through your nose as a sign of liking it. There you go. That's good. I'm happy with that.
Sounded more angry, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Alright, so this week it was announced that there's a new Alien game going to be coming out called Alien Isolation. And not that much was revealed about the game, apart from it's a first-person survival horror game. It's coming out late 2014 for PS4, Xbox One, PS3, 360 and PC. And it's being made by Creative Assembly. And if you haven't heard of those guys, it's because the main thing they do are the Total War games. I don't know if they do Shogun and Rome, but I think they do. And they're just one of Sega's... They're pretty much like Sega's biggest first-party studio. So I guess after getting screwed out of a load of money by Gearbox, and then Gearbox shouting out a terrible game, they decided to go for another one that they can actually trust. So, you love Alien.
I love Alien. My favourite film. One of mine.
You didn't play... bloody hell, I can never say that word for some reason. You didn't play the name that must not be mentioned, not just because I can't pronounce it, but also it was terrible.
Colonial Marines?
That's the one. You're just making me look bad. I'm the host here, and you're just bringing me down.
I'm sorry. Go on.
But either way, what do you think about this new one?
I'm excited. It got me interested enough to actually watch a video on some gaming news, which I usually don't do. See, I don't mind reading about games, but if there's a video, usually like an IGN one, I'm like, it's just going to be fluff, really. But usually, but I was like, oh, Alien, ooh, Isolation, interested.
Because I would also guess that you don't play that many survival horror games.
I tried to play Amnesia. I did try, and I think I'd probably seen it too much beforehand that I didn't. I knew all the kind of stuff that was going to happen, so I didn't find it very engaging. But I can see how it is. It's just I was a bit too slow to the game, I think.
Yeah. Well, I thought that game was okay. It was just... Yeah, that's the bit... We already talked about horror, but horror games are like faddy, where they just come in, everyone plays them, and then they kind of go away. But Alien Isolation is not that. I think they'll kind of try and go for that, but you have the horror, which is the faddy YouTube stuff, and then you have the one where it's more of a console traditional one, and it looks like they're going for more of that sort of style. Now, they didn't really show that much off in the trailer. Like, the trailer was just them walking around on a ship, or some woman walking around on a ship. And I know it was a woman because she just constantly was panting and being like, ah! I don't quite know why she was making so much noise. Never really heard that before, but yeah, that's all really the trailer was. The best part about that trailer was the beginning, where it came up with a warning saying, this is a work in progress, it's not the final product, don't worry about it. And the reason why that got put there is because there was a court case against Sega, or What's it called when like a load of people group together and go up against a company because they felt like they got screwed?
Oh,
you know the one I'm talking about.
We need a podcast lawyer on hand, but we don't have one.
If we get sued all the time, it would be helpful.
Yeah, I know what you mean though, yeah.
Yeah, it was... Yeah, one of those against Sega because they had a trailer and was like, hey look, this new Alien game, it looks pretty good. And then the game in that trailer looked 10 times better than the game that was released, so Sega got sued. So this time they were careful. They put that warning at the beginning so people can't sue them. Which made me laugh when I first saw it.
Is it a class action? Or is that...
Yeah, that's the one. Class action lawsuit.
Lawsuit. That sounds kind of familiar.
Did you Google it? Or?
Yes.
Nice.
Don't tell anyone.
Okay, cool. We'll edit this out later.
Good. No, you won't.
I'm busy. Super busy.
But no, that's good. It's good they did that.
Yeah. But no, so it's quite interesting. I mean, I haven't seen the Alien films. The 2 Alien films I've seen are Alien vs. Predator and Prometheus. So... Not really a fan. Yeah, I just never got round to it. It's just one of those... I didn't see it when I was younger, and now it's like one of those classic films, but it's one of those classic films I haven't got round to. So, I should watch it, though. I should watch it, but I just haven't seen it. So I'm not really a fan of the series, but... I mean, this could be good. Don't know if it will be, but it could be good.
Well, what got me interested is that... Obviously you have Alien... which was Ridley Scott, and it was the survival horror in space.
Yeah.
And then you had Aliens with James Cameron, which was an action film more than a survival horror. And what lends itself more to a video game is obviously Aliens, because it can be a shooter like Colonial Marines. And it's good that they're actually realising, well, yeah, that's been done now. Let's try and go to the first film and try and make a game around what made that first film so good, which is the fact that it is a horror film. It doesn't seem like it at points, but the first, 45 minutes of that film is a horror, like a thriller/horror. It's great. I love it. And especially... I mean, I don't know if this is the case, but I would hope so, that it's only one alien in the game that stalks you.
It was kind of implied. They didn't explicitly say or said anything about it, but I think it was implied by the way at the end there was like an alien that snapped at the screen in that way. So there could be multiple ones, but the feeling I got is that they are only gonna go for one. But again, there might be multiple ones. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I like the idea of one more, just having one, because, like that footage of the xenomorphs coming towards you, just looking so stupid in Colonial Marines. It was just
they
dumb.
Waddle like a toddler. It's the best.
It's just awful, and I just hope that if they focus on one, they can really kind of work out how it can, sneak around you, and, they can probably plan it out a bit more if there was just one.
Yeah, there's a lot they could do, because the interesting thing about Alien is how much has been ripped off. Or rip off is a bit mean or harsh, but it set a standard, and it set a really cool way of, this is a way to do sci-fi and in space and about isolation and all that stuff. And then you got games like Metroid and Dead Space that kind of ripped it off and was using the similar sort of idea, so it'll be good to actually see them explore those ideas, like with Dead Space, where it was a horror kind of, you were in a ship and it was pretty much the same setup. So it'd be cool if they could actually pull off what Dead Space kind of did, but do it in the actual traditional Aliens way, because we've never seen that. Weirdly, they've been making Aliens games for years and we've never seen that.
It's true, actually. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, when you're playing... I never played Dead Space, but I've seen videos of it, and it is like, you're lone person against aliens, so it is pretty much like that. So it would be nice to see it in the proper alien skin, in its official kind of environment. I think, yeah, that's right. But what is also quite good... do you actually know or remember the story from Colonial Marines. It was supposed to be set in between a film?
Yeah, I think it was after the third one, I want to say. I don't really know, but there is a character in it that I think is meant to be from the third one, so it's not set in one of the films, but around it.
Okay, because have you heard about the story for this one, Alien Isolation?
Briefly, the small details.
Yeah, it seems really cool because they're exploring a part of the franchise storyline that hasn't actually been. I don't know if there's been any books about it or whatever, but in the main media, it hasn't been explored that much, and that's Ripley's daughter. Because there's a part in, well, it must be the second film, Aliens, where she sees she's been in cryo-frozen place for hundreds of years, and they show her this picture of her daughter who's now an old lady, and that kind of starts the whole mother-daughter relationship of the films. But you never actually know anything more about her daughter. So this film is about her daughter when she was still quite young, trying to find her mother, which I think is a really cool. It makes sense. It fits in with the storyline.
Yeah.
And it's just a really cool way to go, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're ever going to do this expanded universe kind of stuff, I mean, you want it to be expanded universe where it kind of adds to the story but doesn't kind of continue it in any sort of dumb direction. You kind of want a side story going on, because I'm assuming that whatever's going to happen in this game is not going to change anything from the films, because I haven't seen them, but I'm guessing that the daughter doesn't really matter in the end, or what she did in her life.
No.
So they got a lot of creative freedom, and they can tell this side story. But I mean, the biggest positive about this game is that Gearbox isn't making it, because they're terrible.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Yeah.
I mean, they're being replaced by Creative Assembly, who I looked on their Wikipedia page and has never made anything like this before. Like I said, they make the Total War games, so my biggest concern about this is that it's generic standard horror, that they don't do anything kind of interesting with it, and they have the good core ideas, but with horror games, it's kind of like weird twisted moments in there, which is why the original Silent Hills was so good. So I don't know if this is going to have that, but they could surprise us. I mean, it doesn't mean the game's going to be bad. I would just predict it's going to be bland. But at the same time, I think Sega are putting a lot of money behind it and a lot of time behind it, so it could be really good.
Yeah, I just hope they don't go a bit over the top with it all. Like you say, that panting, it is a lot of really in your face, be scared, and I don't know. I just hope they kind of show a little bit of self-restraint.
Yeah, you kind of have to know horror to make it, but maybe they do. We don't know. We haven't played it. I mean, we got to wait until the end of 2014 to play it, which is the most baffling thing about this. Like, Sega's been pushing this game a lot already, like on Twitter and just on sites. They're just advertising this game. And it's only January. It probably will come out in November, so I don't quite get the logic there, but...
Oh, that's sad.
Oh. I mean, they're going to push it later on down the road, but it seems to be a new thing in the media where you announce something and then you, push it straight away, rather than just let people see the trailer. You push it, it's like, it's coming this year, buy it. I don't quite get why you would put advertising money into that, but...
Maybe they're like, look, we're not going to screw up this time. Look at this. Look, it looks good. All right, it's going to be good. Just trust us.
Yeah, that's what they've been doing. Like these interviews, like we really wanted to go for the survival horror experience with this new Aliens game, which is kind of completely ignoring the biggest problem of the Gearbox game, and that was that it wasn't finished, and it was really uninspired, and it was just bad. Like, it wasn't just a bad Aliens game, it was just a bad, ill-thought-out mess. So that's why people hated it. They didn't hate it because it was a first-person shooter, they hated it because it just wasn't finished. So if Sega turned around and said, look, we're going to give them the money, they're actually going to spend it on this game and not Borderlands, and we're going to give them enough time, and the game's going to look like it does in the trailers, that's what I want to hear. But of course they can't really do that as a company.
No. Well, they better.
I think we mentioned it before, how it would be so much better if companies would just say directly what people want, rather than going for like the company line.
What, the whole kind of buzzword sort of stuff?
Yeah, just kind of try and twist it to try and get people excited, but then having a weird disconnect rather than just being like, you know what, the last game wasn't finished, we are going to finish this one.
Yeah, see, and it would, yeah. I suppose there's a lot of lawyers and PR men that stop them from doing that. It's a shame. It's a shame. Also, you should watch Alien.
I will. By next week, I will maybe have watched that film.
Okay.
Over the Christmas thing, I did watch, 2 seasons of Sherlock, but
That's true.
that's completely different.
Yeah, and they are long. No, I'll give it. Yeah, fair enough.
Although one episode of that show is like the same length as Alien, maybe shorter, but so now I don't have an excuse.
But you will like it.
Nah.
You will like it.
Well, I saw the original, The Thing, and I really like that film.
Oh yes. Who's that got in it? Kurt someone.
Yeah, Kurt...
Russell?
Yeah, that's the only name that came to mind. There's Kurt Cobain and Kurt Russell, so maybe it's Kurt Russell.
Yeah, brief tangent. The practical effects in that film is just amazing.
Oh, what? Still
amazing.
To this day?
Yeah.
Oh.
The Thing. This is. Did you?
Oh
not
yeah, The Thing. Yeah. Yeah. That creature and. Like when
so
they
good.
find that dog mess.
Oh, the dog. Oh, the dog's horrible.
But no, that was a really good film, so I think I'll like Alien.
Yeah. It's kind of similar, I suppose, like Stranded and Alien. Yeah.
God, the ending of The Thing, though, is just, well, we killed it, but spoilers for this film, we're now both going to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they're just staring at each other, and at one point, one of them attacked the other, but they cut away before.
It's pretty horrible, isn't it, really?
Yeah, a bit grim.
But then that's horror. Not going to be nice. There you go.
Yeah. But speaking of Sherlock, we won't be talking about it this week because we released the podcast last week talking about the last episode, but they come out on a Sunday. So last week was released on a Monday where a new episode was already out, but we spent like 20 minutes talking about the older one.
Yep.
So to avoid that embarrassment again, we're just going to wait a week and talk about the series as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to catch up, so yeah, that's good.
Yeah, one of us also didn't bother to watch it and just doesn't care, so... No,
what's my excuse for last week? No, I'm not even going to try.
You were too upset over the controversial trashies. You're just so taken away.
No, I got an award, I'm fine.
Oh yeah, you did.
I'm fine, I'm happy.
For being such a pioneer.
Yeah. Pioneer something else, but yeah, whatever.
Alright, so let's move on to the next bit of news, or the next big one anyway, and that's about the Steam boxes. So for like the last 2 years, I want to say, it's been a while, Valve has been talking about the Steam box, and a couple of months ago they revealed the Steam OS, which is something you can install on a computer, and then you just kind of... I don't really know the advantages of it, it just kind of looks nice and you can play Steam games on it. But now at, I think CES is what it was called, they revealed 13 Steam boxes, which is that they gave these hardware developers the Steam OS, said make us some Steam boxes, and then they're now releasing 13 of them that are going to come out throughout this year. And they kind of range from like the cheapy ones to like the more expensive ones. And from what I can tell, they're a computer that has the Steam OS, and that's about it. So I don't really know that much about this stuff, but to me, this seems really stupid and pointless. And the biggest reason for this is that these Steam boxes aren't cheap. Like I said, they're proper computers with the proper hardware in there. They just have the Steam OS on it, so you're going to have to pay the same amount as a computer to get something that is just dedicated to playing Steam games. And the biggest advantage to PC gaming, or one of the big ones, is how competitive it can be on price. So it seems really odd that they would expect you to go and buy a dedicated PC gaming box, which can potentially cost a lot more than a console. I just don't understand the logic behind the Steam boxes.
Well, a console, and also probably just building a computer from scratch as well.
Yeah.
Which you can then swap the parts of. Yeah, I don't... Like, do you know the prices of them by any chance?
They do range. It's like... I'm not sure what the cheapest one is, but I did see a couple that are like over $1,000. Or $1,000, that is. And I didn't see any that were that cheap or cheaper than like the PS4 or anything like that. I think you're paying at least like $400 to get one of these things, and it just doesn't make any sense. It's just completely backwards. Because a big advantage to PC gaming and building your own laptop or computer is that you can now play all these amazing games and tweak with it and do whatever you want. And also you can do other stuff. Like you can actually use the computer to browse the internet and do whatever you want to do. So that's why it's not too bad when you spend a lot of money on a gaming PC, because you can do other stuff. And now it seems like with the Xbox One kind of having all these different features, and the PS4 connecting to the internet and having all these stuff, and then the Steam box that is kind of more restrictive, it seems like these two things are meeting in the middle in some weird sort of way. But the Steam box isn't cheap, and for me that's a really big deal.
I'm failing to see the whole point of it. I mean, what, Steam wants to kind of enter the console market, but it's not a console.
No. I mean, it kind of is. It's like you take it home, you plug it into your TV, and then you can play all your video games and download the cheap Steam games, which I guess is good. I mean, the weird thing about this is that the big advantage to the Steam box is that you can have it in your living room and plug it into your TV. But nowadays, with how cheap screens and TVs are, you can have like a 40-inch TV and plug it into your computer and play Steam games like that for not that much. So, I don't get the advantage.
Didn't they even have a feature where you can... It's like Steam Big Screen or something?
Yeah, there's the Big Picture, I think it was called.
And isn't that where you can play it on your TV?
I think so, yeah. Either way, you can just plug it in, output your computer into a big TV, and it works fine. So it was like, this was their opportunity to say, here's the Steam box, and here's why it makes sense for consumers. But as far as I can see, it doesn't make sense for consumers because they're expensive and completely unnecessary.
So what would you have liked to have seen?
I would have liked them to see like you buy like a cheap little box which has a Steam OS on, and then you can buy separately like CPUs that you can easily plug into it. So you plug it into your TV, and then you put in all your like whatever you want to do, like your RAM, your hard drive, and your CPU, and you can just plug those in easily. And then over the years you can then update them and buy a new one and plug them in, but you have this box in your living room that does it all. That's what I would have liked to seen, but instead we just have these dedicated boxes that are probably going to be outdated. I think some of them can be kind of customizable, but I would have thought that the most annoying part about PC gaming is messing around building your own PC. Like, I know some people enjoy that part, but still, that is still the biggest hassle compared to console gaming. So I would have thought that the Steam boxes would have been a more simplified version of that, where you can still upgrade and customize it, but it's not as complicated. It's simple. You just plug it in and you're good to go. And there's no reason to buy these, and they didn't do that, so I don't understand them.
Now, what you've just described there is something else that was revealed at, what was it called again? CEX?
Yeah, CES, I think it was.
CES, yeah. Did you hear about the Razer? Razer thing?
I did not.
Well, you know Razer, which is a pretty awful brand, I think, but still...
Yeah, that robot from Robot Wars.
That's the one, yes. No, the other one. They have released... It's called... hang on, I just looked it up. Project Christine, it's called.
Right.
And it's a desktop PC, but it is modular. So everything is replaceable. It's like a giant kind of... It looks really weird. You have to see a picture of it, but it's like a Lego thing where you just plug in and out all these things, like CPU, RAM, whatever. And So that's kind of more what you were saying, isn't it?
Well, that's perfect. That's keeping it simple. You can still update and keep up because, you know, you have to buy a PC and then you have to kind of keep updating it. And for me, that's the big hassle. And yeah, I just want it to be easy. And I don't know.
The only problem with this is that it's probably going to be hideously expensive and overpriced. But,
yeah.
But it still, you know, shows that people are thinking of that sort of line of selling computers. So, and it's still, because it's called Project Christine, it still kind of shows that it's in a kind of development stage concept sort of thing. Yeah. But, you know, sometime in the future, it might be much easier for people to do that.
Yeah, that's what they got to work towards with PC gaming, is making it easy like console gaming. So you have all the advantages of having a computer and all that, but you also have the accessibility and the ease of just plugging it in and playing. And I thought that Steam box was going to be a step in that direction, and clearly I was completely wrong.
Well, it's good to have it easy, but I got to say, when you build your own computer, have you built your own computer?
No.
I'm going to sound just so cocky now, but I have, and there's nothing. The satisfaction of putting these bits together and it actually working is amazing. It's like I was God. I was God, and I built this thing.
It's like if you could manually make a baby and it could play video games.
That is exactly it. That is exactly it. This thing right over there, I made that. That would not exist without me.
With these two hands.
Yeah. So, on one hand, it's very nice to become easy, but then you'll miss out on this glorious satisfaction.
Well, I mean, you still have the option to do that. It's just some people are put off by PC gaming by the hassle it comes with it. So I thought Steambox was going to be that, but instead it just doesn't make sense, because it means that you're now going to have a computer that you're going to have and can do a lot, and can play games, and then you're going to have a separate Steam box, which I guess some people do have a home computer and a gaming one, but it seems weird that you would sacrifice a lot, you know, you would just have a Steam box rather than an actual computer, because there's no advantage to it. I don't understand why you have two, and even if you do like having two separate ones, why would you have one just be for the Steam OS?
It does seem like a waste of money, doesn't it?
Yeah, because they're the same price. You're not saving money by getting the Steam box as compared to a proper normal computer.
But and anyone that's going to get this Steam box is probably, you know, is going to have a computer. It's like a decent computer anyway. So maybe they got some massive plan that's not being revealed yet.
Well, that's what I want to think, that Valve still has something up their sleeve that they're going to reveal, and it's all going to make sense. Or that we're just missing something, because I don't know much about PC gaming, so maybe there is something here where it does make a lot of sense, and we just sound like idiots right now, but I just don't see it.
That is, you know, that's probably right.
There's got to be something. Right. There has to be something to why someone would buy one.
I mean, I suppose I am, in a way, a PC gamer, because I do play games on the PC, but... PC game. But I don't see that... I mean, apart from games being probably... You can get them cheaper, but only in sales and stuff, which you could probably do on console anyway, so...
Yeah, that's not an advantage for the Steam box, though. That's just...
Oh, no.
That's just the problem.
No. Yeah.
But I just think some of this might just be Valve fanboys, because I'm sick of Valve. I'm sick of those guys. The last big game they made was Portal 2, and I know they're making PC stuff, but I don't care. Portal 2 was 2011, I think in February. I think it's about time that they do a new, proper game. They're just pissing around with the Steam OS and the Steam box, and I think they're a company that refuses to expand for some reason. I want to say I've heard that. Even though they want to make a console, they're not going to expand into a massive big company. So I'm kind of sick of those guys, and they can easily win me over by making a new awesome game. I'm not even just talking about a sequel. I would like to see a sequel to one of their games, but I would also like to see something new and awesome. So until they do that, I'm sick of them. I'm done with Valve.
Oh, you've just... What have you done?
But what are they doing? What have they done in the last 2 years?
They've done Steam Greenlight.
Ah. No, okay, I'm not going to slag off Steam, alright? They do a great job with Steam. I'm talking about as a games company that makes games. They stink.
They,
Yeah. It makes the whole thing seems a bit silly when you're like, oh yeah, they're actually a games company. They should probably make some. Maybe. I mean, I know they have been putting out stuff on the PC, but it's just not big stuff. And I don't care if they put 2 more hats in Team Fortress 2. No, who cares? It is what it is. Make a new game.
Okay. Alright, I kind of see your point now. Has it really been that long since Portal 2?
Yeah.
It has seemed... Yeah, it's been around.
That game was awesome.
Yeah. But then there's that whole thing about Half-Life. Yeah. Just to all of it. Just, I don't care.
I think with the Half-Life 3 thing, I did talk about that on my solo cast that I did.
Ooh.
Like
Solo cast?
Yeah.
That's a nice word.
That I did a couple of months ago maybe, and I'm kind of done with... Gabe Newell's kind of annoying because he kind of told people to stop moaning about Half-Life 3, but the way I see it, people have a right to complain because Valve keep teasing it and talking about it. If they just said, you know what, we're not doing Half-Life 3, maybe it'll come in the future, but we've got other projects, that would be fine. I would understand it. But over the last few years since episode 2, they keep just kind of mentioning it from time to time. Like, there was one time where Gabe Newell was like, we're going to go in a more horror direction with Half-Life 3. And then nothing has ever been revealed about it. So I'm just done with Valve. They used to be awesome, and when they made Steam, and then they had Left 4 Dead and Half-Life and Portal, they were like one of the bests. But now I think they're just kind of done and redundant until they do something worth taking notice of.
Well, prepare for hate mail.
Sure.
Maybe.
Fingers crossed.
I don't know. There's like you say, there's a lot of fanboy sort of stuff around that, especially around Gabe. People love that guy.
Yeah, he seems pretty cool, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. Nice beard though.
Yeah, lovely man.
There you go. Nice beard. Oh, also on the subject of Portal 2, did you see that? Oh, I should have really looked it up first. It was like a show. What's the word? Like a demo. That's the word. Demo.
That is a hard one.
A demo of this new. I don't think it's a game, but it's a demo of like a physics sort of engine, where it's about. It was a lot like Portal, in a sense that it had like a physics sort of niche to it, and that is that it dealt with perspective. Did you see this video by any chance?
No.
Oh, you have to see it. It's basically first person again, so it's a lot like Portal, but you can pick up objects. But because it's, I'm going to sound quite technical now, but because there is no depth of field, right, and you can't really judge how far away something is, when you move it closer to you, it actually gets smaller. The actual thing you pick up gets smaller, and if you move it further away, the item gets bigger.
What? Wait, so is it in first perspective?
Oh God, what's that?
Like the opposite.
No.
Because you said that if you move it towards you, it gets smaller. Or did I just mishear you?
No, it does. Like, say if you had like a statue in the background and it looked like it was absolutely massive.
Yeah.
You can pick up that statue, and if you bring it down to your feet, it will become a tiny little statue.
Oh, I see. What? So it keeps the same size from where you saw it originally when you picked it up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's they showed off some kind of demonstrations of how that mechanic could work, getting through a level, and it was. You thought, see, at one point you think you know what they're going to do, and then they do this whole thing. It's like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, that sounds really cool.
You got to see this video. I mean, it's just great.
Yeah, is this being made by some unknown guys, or is it a big company?
I think it's a little unknown company that's just doing a test, but they've got a lot of interest in it, so something's got to be done with it.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, let's hope. That sounds really cool.
And right, one other bit as well, especially about the portals. It does have portals in it. but like with any other object, you can scale the portals, okay? And when you go through a portal, you come out the size that you scaled it to.
Oh, God.
It's just amazing.
That's nuts.
I loved it. It was like an 11-minute video, and I started playing it thinking, I'll watch maybe 30 seconds of it or a minute of it, see what it's like. I ended up watching the whole thing. I was like amazed. Oh.
See, that's like one of the best things about Portal. That people were then like, we should make some weird physics games. Because people seem to like them. And most of them have been pretty cool.
Yeah, like there's that, what is it, Antechamber, I think it's called? No, that something parable.
Maybe.
I don't know. But, yeah, there's been a few games like that where it's done like weird physicsy stuff.
See, from what you just described, for some reason it's made before. Whatever happened to that game that Notch was meant to be making? You know how, I think it was him. You know how they revealed like some weird demo of like a side game, and it was like in space?
Oh, yeah, it was like 0 to the power of C or something.
Yeah, some dumb
name. He dropped it.
Oh, okay.
He just dropped it.
I did wonder about that, because I saw that. I was like, okay, they're doing something different. I'll keep an eye on it. And I haven't heard about it in a while.
The whole kind of cool point of that was that it had an in-game coder, so you could like program your ship to do stuff in the game, spaceship. But he just got bored of it, and I suppose because he's rich, he's like, I don't need to work on this. Yeah,
what's he doing now then? Just steal Minecraft?
No, he doesn't even work on Minecraft anymore.
Oh.
I don't know what he does. He just accepts money.
He just cashes in checks.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think he's on any kind of projects at the moment.
That sounds hard.
Sounds like a really tough life.
Poor man.
What a poor man. I pity him. I pity him, I really do.
Alright, so do you suddenly know what that game was called?
Yes, it has suddenly come to me.
Ah, good.
It is called. The company is called Pillow Castle.
These indie developers, so dumb.
But I said it wasn't a game, but actually I think it is. It's first-person puzzler.
Okay.
So it obviously is being made into a game. So that's good. Oh no, it's students.
Oh.
Interesting.
What, is from America?
Yeah, Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
That is interesting. Let's hope they stick with that.
Yeah. I guess if you can get the tools and have a couple of cool ideas, you can just make an indie game and throw it out there.
Well, yeah. It's got. Actually, I thought it had more views than that, but still, like 750,000 people are interested.
Yeah. When did it
do it?
When did it happen? I know it's the last few years, but how come indie developers are now like legit? Like, they used to be like the worst things in the world. Like, all you have to do is go to Xbox Live Arcade and look up the indie section, and you just see the most pointless waste of time ever. They're just awful. But now it's like, oh, there's a small team of people making this video game. It should be awesome.
Yeah, that is odd. I suppose it's just, after all these successful indie games, they've got a standard now.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's more the value of the idea, really. Like, nobody cares about these people, and then they're like, we're actually doing this. And then people are like, these guys are awesome, they know what they're doing, let's give them some money and hope it works out for the best.
So, what you're saying is you actually care about the people at all.
Screw them.
They could be slaving in front of a screen for hours and hours.
Well, I hope so.
Dying.
I mean, that's the Japanese way of making games, and they usually do a good job.
You listen here, Pittsburgh students.
Yeah.
You will not obtain your degree. You will instead make this game.
Listen to our racism.
Is that racism?
Well, the Japan bit I said was. You're not racist this week.
Oh, that's alright.
It's me.
Okay.
There's always one of us that is racist, and it's me this week, apparently.
Oh, good. Okay, then.
Too bad I can't give myself a trashy, because that was last week.
Yeah, you missed it. I'm sorry.
Damn it. I'll have to be
next year
10 times more racist this year to earn that trashy.
You had stiff competition this year.
Yeah.
From me, apparently.
Yeah, well, you just can't stop.
No, Nazis were all the time in the earlier episodes.
Yeah, 2013 really was the Nazi year for the podcast. We just couldn't stop talking about them.
let's hope we move on to something else in 2014.
Yeah, like, this is our second episode of the year, and we only just mentioned it as a retrospect thing, so I say we're good. I say we're
getting
2 for 2.
We're getting better.
Yeah,
good.
It's baby steps with this sort of stuff.
Oh, good.
But let's move on. So those were the two big kind of news pieces. So let's go for some more fluff news.
Oh, I love fluff.
Who doesn't? The president of Telltale, that busy rich guy, said that he wants to make a James Bond game. Now, what this was is that somebody asked him, hey, if licenses and money and whatever wasn't an issue, which series would you really like to tackle? And he said James Bond. And the quote was, I'm a giant James Bond fan, and I'm always frustrated by games that make him a mass murderer. He's a super spy, and that's a different skill set. The films make him less of a mass murderer, and there's not much killing in the books, more spying and intrigue. And I have to say, I do agree with him. I think with 007 Legends being so terrible and the state of the series, or the game series at the moment, I think a different direction is really needed. But at the same time, my favourite Bond games were the PS2 ones, which were like going around shooting everyone, being a mass murderer. There was some really cool charm to that. I was really like, those had some weird James Bond charm to it, to murdering people. And what he's saying is pretty much correct, but I would be kind of saddened if that style of the PS2 Bond games kind of went away.
It's a tricky one, because when I Let's Played Bloodstone, I think I may have mentioned at some point, I'm sure I did, that there's different facets to Bond that could be explored, like the spying and stuff like that. Well, pretty much just the spying, and not just shooting people all the time. So I suppose that's kind of on the same line of what he's saying. But then, I don't know, how would you do that?
I don't know, but those old PS2 games still had the spy slower moments. It's just those spy moments in the original films, they just don't translate to a video game. But you still had like Nightfire, where the first mission you sneaked into a castle and then you had to like rendezvous and spy on someone. So I felt those games did do a good job. It was from GoldenEye, Rogue Agent onwards where they kind of went all in with just shooting everyone. So I don't think the problem is portraying Bond in that crazy killing everyone way. It's just making it bland, and that's kind of been the biggest problem of the last few years with the Bond games.
So you're saying that a Bond game could be about shooting, it's just got to be interesting?
Yeah, it's just kind of got to have the mix, and they used to have that mix just right, but then with Quantum of Solace they kind of went a bit all over the place. Because if it was more of a spy film, you also wouldn't have like the driving sections and just kind of stuff like that. It would just be more slower, which I don't think would be bad. It's just my main point here is that I don't want that old style to go away. But I would have really liked to have seen this Telltale spying slower version for like the From Russia with Love game. I would really like to see them go back, reimagine one of the older films and do it as like a Telltale slower spy talking film or video game. That would be really cool.
Yeah, the old ones would suit themselves more as well, I think. Probably. Because how much spying is there in the more modern films?
Well, that's what I was thinking. He's been saying that, but if you look at Skyfall, there's none. Like the closest he gets is, I guess, following Patrice and then going to the casino. But he doesn't really do that much spying. He just talks to someone, and then she's like quivering, and he's like, "I'm going to beat up these guys, and there's going to be a Komodo dragon." So I think really the problem with being stuck to the spying when it comes to Bond is that the film franchise isn't there anymore. And with films like Casino Royale and Skyfall, they've established a new sort of style for Bond, and the spying has kind of dropped off, which I can understand if people don't like that, but they've made it work. So if you were going to make a game in this day and age, in 2014, it wouldn't quite make that much sense to do a slower one. you kind of do have to have the action. You don't have to have it all out action. You can still, you should still keep it like a Bond game and definitely have it be Bond. But I don't think Telltale and that style is necessarily good for Bond.
Well, yeah, because he's kind of suggesting, well, maybe not, but this is the thing I get from him, is that he wants just the spying, and I don't think you could have that. Like, I cannot imagine a point-and-click Bond game.
Well,
I don't know.
I think it could happen. Yeah, where you just kind of keep it more story-focused, and also with the Telltale games, there are action kind of stuff. Like with The Walking Dead, there are some more action kind of scenes. I mean, they're terrible, but they could. It wouldn't just be the spying; it would be more plot-focused and figuring stuff out and talking to people and maybe interrogating people as well. So that definitely could be a big aspect of it. But
yeah, like different paths to choose from, like with that.
But
yeah,
that's the thing. Like their specific style that they've established with The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us, I think a lot of that doesn't make sense for Bond. Like the plot is a big part of Bond and how it plays out, but there's not. Like with the Walking Dead game, it's more like, oh my god, I can't believe they killed that person, or I had to decide whether to save him or him, and I don't think that makes that much sense for Bond. Like with the Walking Dead and the TV series of Game of Thrones, it's about, oh my god, they killed that guy, that's crazy, and that's kind of the big moments in there, and Bond isn't like that. I don't want these characters to get attached to all these characters and be in a group of people and all that. And obviously they would change the style slightly for it, but even then they're not character films. It's just Bond going around being a bit of a psycho but being cool about it. And I think that's kind of the main staple of Bond in a lot of ways, and I don't think that would translate in Telltale style point and click.
Well, did Telltale did Back to the Future as well, didn't they?
Yes.
And that's, I suppose, a bit more relatable because it's not a zombie or whatever. But then I remember seeing that game and I don't know, it just seemed kind of a bit dull. So
it's just I think Telltale just getting like greedy, where they just want to do everything. You know, of course, this is just the president being asked in like an interview, casual situation. But again, it could happen with the state of the James Bond franchise and Telltale being big right now, and Activision owns like the rights to the Walking Dead games because they made Survival Instinct or put it out there. So I guess Activision have had maybe some sort of relationship with Telltale. I don't know. But either way, if the president wants to do it and the Bond franchise is in the state that it's in, it could happen. It's just, I think the only way they could do it is if they remade like Dr. No in a Telltale game, which I don't think they would do. I think they would want to do their own original story, and if they did that, I don't think I'd be that interested in it.
Ooh, I was about to say, if the option came up, like to do it or not, I would even though I've just kind of moaned about it, I would probably say still to do it because it would just be something different.
Yeah.
But then you say about doing their own storyline. Oh, I don't know about that.
Or how about they could do the book? Like, instead of doing one of the films, they just keep it stricter to the books.
Yeah, see, that's probably a nice middle ground, I suppose.
But then, if they put that out, would anyone really care?
I don't know.
Like, Bond still has a big following. Skyfall grossed $1 billion, but Skyfall is the new Bond. It's a different Bond. It's Daniel Craig. It's more action. So I still want to see it in a way, but I don't know. I don't think it would work perfectly. And again, like I said, I think it's just Telltale getting greedy with Game of Thrones and Borderlands and all that.
Yeah, I just bring me a Roger Moore Telltale game and I'll be pleased.
Octopussy, the Telltale episodic series.
Don't bring me that. Don't bring me that.
What about
Bring me the Spy Love Me.
Yeah, that could work, but
no, I only said that because it's my favourite film. Don't, it might be awful.
Maybe.
Probably.
I mean, what? The ending of that film is all in that underwater base, so I don't know how that would work. No, not underwater. What am I talking about? But it is on the water.
Yeah. No, is it underwater?
No,
Oh no,
I think
no, yeah. It's kind of above the water, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's out to sea.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But then what? I don't know. There's probably a few Bond films that could, but like I think the first one you said, From Russia with Love, that's definitely. Well, I was about to say it's more spy, but is it though?
It kind of is, although
Kind of is. It's before they got into the whole gadgety. It's still that transition sort of film. That one.
Yeah, that's what they would have to do. They would have to go maybe not Goldfinger, maybe after that. Because I'm thinking more Sean Connery, but I don't know which one you would do, because you would have to go post Goldfinger. But then of
You
course,
only live twice.
yeah, I guess, yeah,
Have Blofeld.
yeah, I guess that would
be
be the one to do.
That'd be pretty cool.
Cause
Although, isn't that the one where they like Japanese him up
yeah, that'd be awesome.
in a kind of very racist way?
No, what are you talking about? It's great.
Yeah. We just add some eyebrows to him and some makeup. Now you're Japanese.
That was so funny when I saw it, because I remember seeing the joke in Team America when they, parody it,
Yeah.
and it made me laugh then. I was like, which Bond film was that? That's from Bond. And then I went back and watched You Only Live Twice, and it's just as dumb as the Team America makes it out to be. It's so stupid.
So yeah, we will wax you, and now you're Japanese.
Everybody can see it.
Oh, those were the days. Those good old days. Casual racism.
Do they still show that on ITV2?
I guess so.
Awesome. So you could just be flicking through, and then
I
you
hope
just...
they don't cut it out.
They can't, really. There's too much of the film, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you're just...
Yeah, suddenly Bond looks like that.
Yeah, you go to like the news, whatever, the Simpsons, and then you just have Japanese Bond on screen.
That would be very scary.
That would scare all your kids with that.
Oh, but yeah, new Bond, maybe.
Yes. Maybe they could give it a go because of the state of Bond, but not necessarily the right direction.
Yeah, nice.
Alright, so that's news pretty much done. So, I saw a film this week, or so I did.
What did you see?
Well, I went to the cinema, and I saw Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, which I've only saw the first one, and that's because it was such a big kind of deal. So I went to the cinema and saw it, and it was kind of scary, had a pretty good atmosphere, it did a pretty good job with some of the things, but I wasn't really that scared by it. So then I kind of just stopped watching them, because then they just kept pumping them out. But this one was kind of like go to the cinema, might as well go see it, and it's meant to be a spin-off, and what it is that, yeah, it's a spin-off to the main series, and it's all shot by hand cam? Is that what you would call it? Like Blair Witch Project cam?
Yeah.
And it's all done like that, and it wasn't bad. I don't think it was scary, which was kind of a big deal. And the interesting thing about this film is that there's a lot of comedy in it at the beginning, and then the guy gets possessed and things start going wrong, and it's not really kind of that scary. But then it goes into the last 20 minutes where the guy's like in this house alone, and it's all dark and is being stalked. And it really reminded me of a video game. Like, it seems like they were going for that, where the guy is just walking and you can see it first person, and you hear something out the window and you're like, what's that? And then he slowly approaches at the door. And I guess it was just because it was in first person that it made me think of a video game. But there's two separate times in the film where someone gets killed or messed up, and it seemed like a game over screen should have appeared. Like he's walking through this bit in this plastic stuff, and then suddenly a man jumps up at him and jumps on top of him. Then the camera falls down and goes to black, and I wanted to see game over on the screen. It just seemed appropriate. So I'm not a big fan of the films because I haven't seen them, but it was okay. Like, I kind of want to be scared by films now, because when I was a kid I was deadly terrified of films and games.
Deadly? Did you die?
Well, I might as well have done. Died inside.
Oh no.
But no, when I was like 9, I played Eternal Darkness on the GameCube, because it was a Nintendo game technically. They published it, and I loved the GameCube, so I was like, Nintendo exclusive, woo! I knew it was a horror game, but it just, the way that game was just scared me so bad. I just kind of stopped watching that sort of stuff. Like, I had nightmares for about a month. I kept crying all the time because I was a little baby.
You're such a baby.
I know, right? Baby. But no, so I kind of stopped. But now that I've got back into it, I just don't get scared that much anymore. So there was a couple of scares in this film, but I just didn't really get affected by them. And I don't think it was as scary or as effective as the original. So as a dumb, go see it in the cinema, like, it's a spooky film, whatever, it's fine. But it's just fine. It's nothing special.
I hate the Paranormal franchise.
No.
I hate it with a passion. I think it's just symbolic of all that is wrong with films.
Oh no.
I really just don't like it.
Okay, so how many have you seen, or just the first?
None.
Oh, none?
None.
Well, this seems a bit hypocritical, Joe. You kind of got to see one of them.
No. Because I can see what's happened without even seeing one of them.
Yeah.
As in, just not the actual film, but the grand scheme of things. They had a hit which I didn't see coming with the first one. It was super, super cheap, like ridiculously cheap, and they made so much money with. Like, obviously, film's there to make money, all right, yeah, but film's also a form of art, in a way, okay. So you have your big blockbusters, but they still have like some kind of cinematography to them. They still have a design, a style to them. Even like, the Avengers.
Boo!
I know you hate it, but someone there has thought about like the way it looks, and with these films, it just seems like they just don't care. They don't care about anything apart from people like the first one. They will see more of them. Like, how quickly did they churn out? There must be like 5 of these films now.
Yeah, this was the 5th one.
And when did that first one came out? 3-4 years ago.
It's been 1 a year so far.
It's just such a cheap. I just don't like it. I don't like it, Tom.
Okay, well, here's the thing. All right, nobody views these films as art. So, do you think there's a place in the film market for these films where it's people know what they are? They're just cheap scares, and people enjoy that. Do you think there's a place for it?
Well, here's the thing. My mum has got all the DVDs. My mum's got all the DVDs. She loves them. Right?
And she's not playing pinball. She's watching these films.
Exactly. Yeah. Well remembered. And she watches them again, which I just don't understand at all.
Yeah.
It's, isn't the whole point of these films like jump scares?
Yeah.
Like. Anyway, that's not really to do anything. I can blame my mum for that. I suppose there is. I suppose there is a place for them.
I would agree with you if people then turned around and viewed it as like, wow, these films are incredible. It's a journey, and it's why I had such a problem with BioShock Infinite. But these films, they're cheap. They come out once a year. You go see it. You're like, and that's about it. I don't think anyone really looks beyond them. And I think I know why people rewatch them, because it's like they got scared by it the first time, and then I think maybe people feel like maybe empowered, or like there's a weird feeling or a weird sense of pride to be like, yeah, I know the scares are coming, and then you kind of watch it and you don't flinch. You're like, yeah, didn't get me. So I think that's what that is, if I had to guess. It's like I had a mate who had a similar thing with the Saw films, where he had on his laptop the individual, or he had all the films, and then he knew where all the individual traps were, so he could just watch a film, jump to a certain trap, and then just watch that trap if he wanted to. And I thought it was a bit of a creep. It's a nice bloke, but that was weird. But I think there is some weird satisfaction to being like, oh, this is gory and gross and over the top, but I'm okay with it, so So I think that's what's going on with the Paranormal Activity films. Maybe.
I mean, what I don't like is that these sorts of films, and it is a kind of seems to be like a trend, especially paranormal. It's like ghosts, paranormal stuff, and like possession is just. If it's a horror film, it will have a ghost and it'll have possession. That's it.
Sure.
And it seems to have taken. Like, there's no proper horror films.
There was the Evil Dead remake.
Is that a horror film?
Yes.
Is that like a comedy?
No, that's a horror film.
Wait, which did they not try and remake it as a sort of funny one?
No.
Like the original.
The original Evil Dead, I think, was always not. It was like it's the second two that were the comedies. The first one was, I think there was maybe some comedy in it, but it was more of a straight up horror film. The original. So this one, they kind of went all in with that angle, especially with how popular horror films can get nowadays.
Did you see it?
No. Shoot.
Well, maybe I'm just wrong.
I mean, you still get there was Sinister and The Conjuring and Insidious and Insidious 2. There was Carrie that just came out. I don't know if that's a horror film or just a hit girl murder some people.
It's a remake as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they're still coming. It's just not like you love Alien, so I'm guessing this is where this comes from, where the atmosphere that a film like Alien would create, they don't take the time anymore to do it. They just go for the scares and make it cheap.
Yes, that is it. That is what I was trying to... Yes, that's the point. That is the point. You hit the nail on the head.
Woo!
Cheap scares. People are impatient, I guess. That's just the yeah.
It's just, well, they just want to feel that instant, oh, whoa, rather than have like a film where you get invested into it and then afterwards you kind of, it sticks with you. They just want the instant thing.
They're terrified people will get bored. It's like, we must scare them in the first 10 minutes, else, we've failed.
Well, I don't think it's really boredom. It's just because if you make a really good film, like if you sat most people down in front of, I won't say Alien, I'll say The Thing, because I've actually seen that one. People would get absorbed into it if they went to a cinema and saw it, because it's a well-made film with a great atmosphere and a lot of cool ideas. So you would get absorbed into that. It's just the people behind horror films nowadays don't have the same vision or the same kind of... They don't want to do films like that. They just don't think. It's more... I mean, the Paranormal Activity films are a bit of an exception, though, because it really was... The original cost $10,000 to make, and they just made it in a house. So that guy did really well with what he had, and did have that vision, and created it, and did a new, interesting sort of way. It was just then... The studio behind it just gave it to other people, and then they just kind of did their own sort of thing with it. So I think Paranormal Activity is an exception in this case. But you are pretty much right. There aren't films like Alien or The Thing around anymore.
But wouldn't it have been so good if Paranormal Activity was an amazing hit and then that was it? And that was the only film? Don't you think that would have had such a strong impact?
Well, let's also think. Wouldn't it have been good if Star Wars stopped? Wouldn't it have been good if Alien stopped? Wouldn't it be good if The Simpsons stopped? Wouldn't it be good if Godfather didn't have one? Wouldn't it be good if Rocky didn't have all those sequels? You kind of just got to take the film for what it is and appreciate the good parts of it. You don't have to watch or like the sequels. You just take what is good and be happy with that and just ignore the bad stuff.
So have you seen all the Paranormal Activity films?
I saw the first one in the cinema when it came out.
Oh, right. See, the difference is, though, that the sequels of those other franchises, they probably added more to the storyline.
These ones did, though, from what I've heard. Like, they built up a big story around it, and I think 3 is actually a prequel.
Okay.
I mean, we haven't seen all the films, so we're having...
I haven't seen any. So.
Yeah, we're having a discussion about a film series we haven't watched. So maybe that's not a good idea, but...
It's fine.
I do see your point, though.
It's fine. I'm sure if there are people that like the Paranormal Activity franchise, then so be it. But much like I pity, who's I pity?
Gabe Newell? No, Notch.
Not much like I pity Notch, I pity them too.
Oh.
I am a very patronising, annoying person in today's podcast. I pity everyone.
I think we're being quite hypocritical, though. Like, we were just making a point about the Bond films where they've changed the style and it's now new and not what it originally was. And that's okay, because they've made it new. And now that horror has moved into a new direction, we're now just complaining that it's not the same. Like, it's not old.
It's moved, but it's kind of had its go now. I want to see something different.
Okay.
I mean, when did that? I suppose those sorts of films you could start with Blair Witch.
Yes.
It's a long time ago, but you could start back there.
Although Paranormal Activity 1 was different from Blair Witch.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of the one you said about.
Yeah, the new one is Blair Witch, but the original wasn't. It was actually quite innovative in the way it did its scares.
What, with the home video?
Yeah, where you're just watching people in bed and then stuff happens. They did do a good job with that original one.
I suppose so, yeah. I suppose it's just transitioning, maybe. Or it's not, but I'd like it to.
Well, I see a lot of people who complain about a lot of franchises because they change, and I think it's something that I'm now more aware of, that it seems like I don't want to complain just because something's different. Like, I don't like the new direction of the Mario games, but they're still good games. I still gave the new one a really positive review, so I'm trying to be a bit more open when it comes to, like, hey, things were a certain way, but now they're different, so you just kind of got to take it for what it is.
Oh yeah, I'd much rather they had, just like in general, things had maybe a subpar change than an average similarity.
Yes. I do.
Change is good.
I do agree with you, but yeah, it's kind of a bit. You don't want to complain too much about something being the same, but then again, Paranormal Activity, there are now 5 of them.
They're not making any more Saw films, are they?
No, they did They did 7, and they were done.
I mean, this isn't. I'm saying all this. This isn't nothing new. They made about 10 Freddy Krueger films and 7 Jason films. So I suppose, but they were different genres. It's like
it's just horror. That's just how they do it.
Yeah, that was slasher, and now we're on to ghosts.
Spooky ghosts.
Spooky.
Well, someone has an idea, it's good, and then they just put them out until people are kind of done.
But why is it only horror?
I think it's because they're kind of cheap, and it's easier to rehash the original idea. Where all you got to do is, like, you saw the original film, right? Just go do that again, but do it in space if you're Jason. So I think and people will kind of accept it a bit more. Like, with other films, they just won't, because I think with horror films, you're not invested in the story in the same way. You're there for either that, oh my god, that's disgusting, or what the hell. So you're not in it in the same way. Like, we did complain about the Hunger Games last week because it's just a rehash of the original film, and I think that's terrible, and I never want to see that film because it's a rehash. But with a horror film, I guess, I don't know, I don't feel as annoyed. When I saw Paranormal Activity, I wasn't annoyed because they were ripping off Blair Witch and just doing it all over again. So, I don't know, I guess it's because they're cheap and you're not there for the story, you're there for spooks.
Yeah, it's like horror is like something. It's like almost like you go see it and you have the experience, and then that's it. Like, whereas other films, you go and you see it, and it might stick with you for a few days afterwards, and you think, oh man, like, it really, you think about it and stuff like that. But with horror, you go there for one thing in mind, it happens, and you leave. Yeah, and that can be rinsed and repeated, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know why the industry is so, like, brutal when it comes to it, though. I think that's the odd thing. Like, there's a lot of franchises where they churn out sequels, but with horror films, they're brutal with how quick and efficiently and cheaply they will put these sequels out. And, I mean, again, I guess people don't view them as art, so it doesn't matter too much, but it does kind of make the medium seem a bit, not as good.
We've been talking about films for a heck of a long time.
We sure have.
And actually, I still need to mention one film quickly.
Well, that's horror films, so Speaking of not horror films...
No, it's not horror. It's not horror. I was just browsing Netflix the other day. Yesterday, in fact. And
2 days ago.
Yes, 2 days ago. Ooh, timey-wimey. And I watched, upon, one of these films that people say is film of the decade, and it's just a masterpiece.
Okay, wait, so... you haven't told me what it is.
No, I haven't.
I tried to get the information out of you, so... It came out in the last 10 years, did you say?
Yep.
Considered a masterpiece.
Like one of the best of the decade, by far.
I would guess one of the Oscar winners.
Won a lot of Oscars.
The King's Speech.
No.
The Last King of Scotland.
Nothing to do with kings.
Damn it! I was going to say Return of the King, but now that just seems silly. No. I think that did win the Oscar actually, so that's quite lucky.
Yeah.
The Artist.
No.
Is it a live action film?
Yeah.
Oh, what would it?
It stars someone who has won 3 Oscars.
That sounds like Tom Hanks.
No.
Damn it. Listen,
Would you like to know?
Yeah. We can't just have the whole podcast me guessing a film.
No. It's Daniel Day-Lewis, and it's There Will Be Blood.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I should have said Lincoln. Really, what am I doing?
You've been close. There Will Be Blood. It's just everyone I heard about that film just said, "Oh, it's an experience. It's just absolutely amazing." Blah 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 blah. So I was ready for this film. I was like, okay, prepared to be blown away. And by the way, that hasn't really changed my opinion. I think even if I hadn't seen that, I think I would have been disappointed anyway.
Sure.
Because and there you go. I was disappointed in the film. It just. Have you seen it?
No.
It's a very weird film. It's a very weird film about an oil digger who, at the beginning of the film... Oil. It's all about oil. It's set in the West. Well, not the Wild West, but, America, 1910s or whatever.
Red Dead times.
Yeah, pretty much. And it really reminded me of Red Dead at times, actually. And it's all about his... kind of transition from one character to another, how he changes across the film. And I'm not going to give away any spoilers and stuff because I'd like people to make up their own minds about the ending. But it left me the ending left me confused, and the most annoying thing was I went on the internet afterwards trying to make sense of this film because I just left it thinking, what did I watch? I mean, it was pretty. It was a pretty film, and Daniel Day-Lewis is great acting, is very, very good, but what did I just watch? And what annoyed me was that everyone on the internet was saying, like, I just don't understand people who don't like this film. I just can't understand them. It's like they must be idiots. I'm like, I'm not an idiot, I just don't get it. And it seems like a film that kind of splits people, I guess, because there were some people that shared my opinion, like, what the hell was that? And it just really threw me because I was expecting this one experience... and he'd won an Oscar for his performance, which fair enough was really good, but... And it kind of made me sad as well, because I wanted to have that, oh my god, this was amazing. This was mind-blowing, this film was amazing. But I just didn't get that.
So, because it was so critically acclaimed, you kind of expected more of a specific emotion you would feel when watching it? Because, I mean...
No.
That's kind of what you feel with certain... Like, when certain big films, you kind of watch it and you either like, wow, that was really moving in this certain way, and... I don't know, I don't watch many critically acclaimed films, if I'm being honest, but... It sounds like it wasn't a very cohesive experience.
I was just disappointed that I didn't get that reaction. I can see why people like it, kind of, but I just wish I'd have liked it.
Okay, so
and I didn't.
You wouldn't say it's Oscar bait then?
No, but I feel as if I have to watch it again. To be honest, I think it is one of those films, where it deserves a rewatch.
So you also don't think that it got critically acclaimed because the oil aspect and all political?
It's definitely not, because that's what I thought. I thought, oh, this is going to be an interesting film about how this man has a business, creates a business from like the ground up, and how he becomes this oil, businessman, baron of, but the story was hardly relevant at all. It's all about the character. It's all about that one character that Daniel Day-Lewis plays and how he changes, and it's supposed to be, like I said, a transformation from one person to another, a bit like Walter White. Yeah, but whereas in Breaking Bad, you can pinpoint moments where the character of Walter White changes, and you think, yeah, hang on, that's like Heisenberg, and then sometimes the lines will be blurred, but it's still kind of, you can follow it.
Yeah.
With this one, it seemed like one moment he was this person, the next moment he was a different person, and that's what I didn't get.
Well, that's what made Breaking Bad so good, that they had this transformation of a character, but they absolutely took their time with it. So I don't know how someone could fit that whole transformation that Breaking Bad does in a film that's 2 hours long. It just seems odd.
Well, yeah, it's not as drastic a change, I'll say that. It's a very subtle. I think it was probably too subtle for me. I'm too dumb. I didn't pick up on the little bits, obviously, but I'm going to watch it again, I think.
Yeah, it sounds like that you should watch it again. Maybe there's a load of stuff in there that you just missed the first time.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, that film! I always associate that film with No Country for Old Men. I think they came out around the same time and were both critically acclaimed. And I haven't seen either, but that's the one I usually think of.
Yeah, they are quite linked. Because that was one of the things I was reading about how they are very similar. Not in terms of storyline stuff, but just around the same time, and both Oscar sort of films. Yeah.
I feel like I should watch No Country for Old Men because it's got the villain from Skyfall in it.
Javier.
Yeah, Javier.
Javier Bardem. Yeah, he's good. Man, I've watched Skyfall again, and he's so good.
Yeah, Skyfall.
I watched it about a day before you watched it on Blu-ray. Yeah.
I tweeted about it. Where's your tweets?
Firstly I was on DVD, so I was
ashamed.
Ashamed I didn't have the high quality, but I do agree with what you tweeted about the whole
007 Legends.
No. 007 being what did you say?
It's just that weird. There's a whole motif in that film about being past your prime.
That's it, yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense if it's the third film in the reboot.
No, especially when at the end of Quantum of Solace, it's like M says, "I'm glad you're back, Bond." And Bond's like, "I never left."
Oh,
and Quantum of Solace is a sequel to Casino Royale, and Casino Royale's the first, so it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
How much time passed between Solace and Skyfall? We never know.
Well, it's confusing in Skyfall because that motif drops off the face of the earth once the villain shows up.
Yeah.
Past the shooting the shot of the woman's head, then it disappears. And then the only mention of it really is that he then, they practice, at the end, he's practicing his shots, and then he just instantly shoots the two cups, and it's like, oh, he's back, I guess. And that's it.
And the paintings, don't forget the paintings.
Oh, yeah, the boat.
Of course, the boat. The in-your-face, that's Bond.
Ah.
The boat is Bond, you get it?
See, I was thinking maybe that's more of an analogy of the series as a whole, that the old ways are now completely gone and now it's the new ways. But the film ends with them with the old ways. Jumping straight back into it. So I don't get it.
It's still a great film, but I do agree it does have some mixed sort of messages in terms of, it's because stupid Judi Dench, she ruins everything.
That whore.
She's messed up the whole timeline, I told you.
Yeah, it's only her that makes everything weird. Because when I first watched Skyfall, I was so confused about what was going on. With the ending, going back to the old ways, and then M dying, and then just hit Bond being washed up and all that. I was like, what? Where is this film taking place? But really, it's Casino Royale's a reboot. They just carried over the character M.
Yeah,
and it was the same character, but not though.
It's very weird.
Yeah, it's only her that messes it up. It's weird.
I want to say, thank God that, spoiler alert, she's gone.
Yeah, I already said it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, her dying.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, right, okay.
Passing away.
I want to say thank God she's gone there, but I actually quite like Judi Dench.
Yeah, me too. She did a good job, but...
Although she does say bloody too much. Every second word she said was bloody.
Get to the bloody
Take the
point.
bloody Get to the bloody point, Bond.
I liked it. She didn't take any guff.
She bloody did not.
And one thing I was really looking out for in this film, or this was the 4th time I watched it when I got the Blu-ray, and one thing I looked out for was Ralph
Fiennes?
That's the one.
Ralph Fiennes? Yeah.
Ralph Fiennes, because I was like, oh, this guy's going to now be a big part of the franchise. And I have to say, he wasn't in it that much, but when he was really good.
He was nice, wasn't he?
Yeah, just the way he talked to Bond and everything.
He set up that kind of M doesn't like Bond sort of thing.
Yeah, that they respect
well.
each other, but they don't get along.
Yeah, it was really good.
There's no harm in saying that you're missing a step. I was like, oh my god.
Hell no, he didn't.
Yeah. And they also don't really have Bond actually improving in terms of the actual film. He's just quite awful and in bad physical shape, and then towards the end he's fine. But there's nothing in the film that would suggest that he got, or nothing happened. He just time passed and his arm got better.
Well, you could say that the film wasn't about Bond, it was about M.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, but when you watch it, you can't watch that film with that point of view, because then it means that M isn't actually in it that much.
No, you'd have to. It's like with hindsight, I suppose you can sort of see it a bit clearer.
Yeah, it's still a great film, but when you kind of break it down a bit, it's definitely a film where there's 3 acts to it, and they don't quite align up. Like at the moment, it's like the first one is like the fall of Bond, and then the second one is M stupid, or no one likes M.
M is bloody stupid.
M is just bloody messing around, and then the third one is just Bond's childhood or something. Like and then they don't really match, and it's a bit odd. But you don't notice it when you watch the film. It's just when you look back on it.
It's great film. Can't wait for the next one.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mendes is back.
Mendes,
my man.
He's not your man.
He should be good though.
Right, so there is one more thing I wanted to mention. Yeah, screw it, I will. We're at an hour 20, but we can go a bit long. So recently, I've been playing Ratchet and Clank, because back in the day, I was a massive Ratchet and Clank fan. Like, played the first one at a mate's house. I was like, what is this? It's the best. And then I played 3, and I beat that game 4 times in a row.
You're crazy.
I know. It's because it has the challenge mode where you get to keep all your weapons, but you play through the story again. And Ratchet and Clank 3 is kind of designed where it's worth doing, because there's a load of weapons you just won't get in the first playthrough. So I played it through, then I played it through in challenge mode, then I did a new save, and then I did it in challenge mode again. And it was one of my favourite games for the longest time. But when I moved over to the 360 and didn't get a PS3, I kind of left the franchise for a while. It was the only franchise I really cared about on the PS3, apart from Metal Gear Solid 4. So I just kind of left it. But now that I have a PS3, recently I've been collecting them all. So at the moment I have Tools of Destruction, Quest for Booty, A Crack in Time, All for One, Nexus, and I've got Q-Force on the way. So I've now got them all, so I can now catch up. And currently I've beaten Tools of Destruction, I've beaten Quest for Booty, and I'm about halfway through A Crack in Time. And my thoughts of the game and the series that it took in, it's okay. Tools of Destruction is just a rehash of 3. It's exactly the same as 3, it's just in HD, and it kind of makes it a bit boring. Like, each of the original 3 Ratchet and Clank games kind of have their own personality in a lot of ways, so to see that Tools of Destruction was just 3 was kind of off-putting. And then when I read the reviews on Amazon, there was a lot of people who said, I've never played Ratchet and Clank before, but this game was awesome. And then I was just like, yeah, if you had played 3, you would know that this is not as good at it. Because that's the thing, it's not even as good as 3. The weapons aren't as good, the story's good, but the environments aren't as good, and it's a bit weak. And then Quest for Booty, which I think I mentioned on the podcast when I brought this, maybe, because I brought it in Amsterdam when I went there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Really cool, like, side game. As a main game, it's not that great, but if you handle it as a side game, like you're meant to, it's really good. Because it's very pirate-themed, and now that I've actually played through and beaten it, there's a lot of pirate stuff in there. Story-wise, it's almost completely pointless, really. It's just a gap between... It's there for the ending, where there's like a reveal of, it was this guy all along. So that's the whole point in the game. So story-wise, it's not the strongest, but it's still like a really cool side game. And now I'm on to A Crack in Time, and I have to say, probably one of the best Ratchet Clank games ever. I haven't beaten it yet, but 3 is obviously my favourite. So now it's for the number 2 spot between 1 and A Crack in Time, because all of my complaints of Tools of Destruction has been fixed. A Crack in Time has its own very distinct personality, and the presentation and the story is just the best of any of the games, because with the Future series, which is the name of the PS3 ones, they've gone all in with making like sci-fi epics. There's still a lot of jokes in the whole game, and it still has a similar tone, but at the same time they are going for an epic space adventure, and they pull it off really well and do a really great job with it. So, you know, there's a lot of cool kind of new puzzles in there, where at the moment Ratchet and Clank are still separated, and I want to guess that they're going to be separated for the rest of the game, but it still works. It means that you can have some unique gameplay with just Ratchet and some more unique gameplay with just Clank, and there's a lot of cool time puzzles with Clank, and there's a lot of cool space exploration, because there's now like a open space world where you can go to different moons, but there's no loading. You just fly up to the moon, land on it, and then do the side quest on it. So it's really good, and I haven't beaten it yet, so maybe it turns terrible, but I'm hoping it doesn't.
No.
But I have to say it's probably one of my favourite ones, so once I beat that I'll be going through the rest, and next week I'll report in, I guess.
That's reassuring. That a series can go for that long and actually adapt and realise what they need to do. That's very nice.
Yeah, it's just A Crack in Time was a massive surprise for me, because Quest for Booty was just a side game, and Tools of Destruction was just free, and I was like, oh. But no, A Crack in Time is its own original, unique game, and still feels like the originals, but does a lot new. So I look forward to beating it and then moving on to Nexus, because that's the last one.
What, the very last one?
Yeah, that's Nexus was released as an epilogue to the Future series.
Oh,
so
are they going to make a new series?
I hope so, but that'll be on the PS4, so that'll be like the Future series, I suppose.
Future?
Yeah, it's even more in the future.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why it's called the Future series, though, because it just continues on from the timeline of the first 4, so I don't know what's going on with that.
4?
Yeah, there was Gladiator after 3.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is technically a main series game.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So I'm going to buy the HD collection at some point and download Gladiator, which is called Deadlock in America, and then I'll have them all.
Look at you with your big fancy collection.
I know. I've got to collect them all.
Although... So, wait, you're going to download that one?
What?
Gladiator.
I guess? Damn it, I want a disc.
It'd be nice to have all the discs, like physical versions, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because you've got the trilogy, that's one. Oh, that's a shame. Damn it, Insomniac.
Damn you, but also thanks.
Although one thing that's quite funny with A Crack in Time, there's certain stuff in there like that reminded me of Spyro, and as I play through this game again, I kind of see the Spyro kind of influence, like with the way some of the enemies die and all that kind of stuff. I never saw it before when I was younger because I wasn't aware that it was the same people. But now that I am, you can see it. It's subtle, but there are subtle things that happened in Spyro that also happen in Ratchet and Clank.
What, how they die?
Yeah, that's the main one I noticed.
Oh, okay, right, that's one of them. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's like, it's Spyro. It's like a different timeline of Spyro.
The future series of Spyro.
If they existed today, it would be a bit like that.
It might come back still, you don't know?
Maybe. Who knows?
Last one was Dawn of the Dragon. That was only like 5 years ago, so you don't know.
Spyro the Future the future one.
Well, they already did that. That was those 3 games, The Legend of Spyro.
The future then.
Well, it actually wasn't really the future. That's probably a poor phrasing, because it's The Legend of Spyro, so that implies the past.
Oh, it's like Star Wars, is it? Where it's a long time ago, but it's actually in the future.
Maybe. I haven't played them. I just played Eternal Night on the Game Boy Advance, and it gave me a nosebleed. But apart from that, I haven't played them.
How very rude.
I know, it was out of order.
Damn game.
Goddamn Eli Woods.
I hope you gave it a nosebleed.
Yeah. A figurative one, not a actual one.
Good.
Alright, well, I think that's enough for this week. We've rambled on long enough.
What was the email, though?
The email, good point.
We can't forget the email.
I did, but that's okay, because you didn't.
Ha!
Gmail. So you can still email us. We might forget them, but...
I won't. He will.
Joe won't.
No. I'll try. I'll try my best.
But Joe, what is that email address while I'm looking it up?
The email address is Only Trash Here Podcast.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah, that's the one.
I keep thinking, does it have the nope? But it doesn't, does it?
No, I just kept it nice. Only Trash Here Podcast.
Only Trash Here Podcast at Gmail.
Because it would have to be Nope Theirs, Nope Theirs.
Oh, yeah.
Just ugly.
That's just too long and ugly. Just Only Trash Here Podcast.
Right, okay.
At gmail.com.
So here's the email. It's from Edward the Guy, who's my brother and has emailed before.
Well done.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hold on, I did read this earlier. Let's just read it out loud, see what happens. Since indie games have recently become so popular, with all the next-gen consoles having support for some of the more well-known games, I was wondering if you think they will improve the standard of gaming or just make games gimmicky. I'm not 100% sure what he's asking there, because he says... So he's talking about indie games. I think he's just asking, do you think indie games becoming big will affect the mainstream games and will make them... make them better, because now they've got to compete with the smaller games.
Oh,
I see what. Yeah. Or just make games gimmicky. So I'm assuming he just means like, because of the Nintendo games like Wii Sports and Brain Training not having that much to them and having a gimmick and people rushing out to buy them, is that the way that the big dogs are going to compete, or is it just going to be they're going to try and make their games better? To you, Joe.
interesting. Damn it.
Thoughts and feelings.
Alright. Okay, my first thought would be no.
Oh.
I kind of see them as separate things, so I don't know, and I would assume like the top people would as well. Like they're probably like, I know indie games are growing, but even still, like it's nothing compared to the millions and millions that go into other games.
Well, you say that, but I mean, Minecraft is like the most successful game of the last few years.
Oh, Minecraft is an exception.
Well, is it though?
I hate Minecraft.
Yeah.
Get that thing away.
I can tell.
Minecraft doesn't count.
That's the real reason you're ending FTP. You hate it.
Bloody
Can't
thing.
stand it.
Minecraft is like that stupid one that's like, oh, well, actually, yeah. Minecraft is a rare thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can't... Like, no other game has been that kind of explosive.
Yeah, its level of success doesn't really kind of compare.
Crazy.
But I think that it won't make games more gimmicky. I can see what you're saying. Oh, I can see the point. But I agree, that's more of a separate kind of market. Maybe he just means gimmicky in terms of the game, though, where the game will just have one particular gimmick with it, like, say, Portal, although saying Portal is gimmicky is a bit mean. I'm sure there's a better example, but I can't be able to think of one, so we'll just say Portal, where it's all about the physics things and the portals. And I don't know, I think if we were going to see it, it would have happened already, and it hasn't happened already. I mean, if you just look at the last holiday season, the big games have still been GTA 5 and the new Mario 1 and the new Call of Duty and all that. It's still the same market. So if that would have happened, it would have happened. So the fact that we're still here in 2014 and they're still putting out these big AAA games, I think that means that the indie market is going to have it. What?
Oh, sorry. Were you going to say triple gay?
No, I wasn't.
Yes,
you can't
were.
prove that. You don't know.
That's so immature. Anyway, sorry. Go on.
I can't believe you just interrupted me for triple gay. God damn it.
It's really funny though.
Yeah. It made me laugh. Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, so I think this would have been a more... this question probably would have been more ambiguous of what the answer is about 3 years ago. But the fact that we're here and the big games coming out next year are like AAA ones like Titanfall. I mean, they still, on the Xbox One, they still have these indie games, but at the same time, they still have the AAA titles that people are going to rush out and buy. So I think the markets have now, they now just coexist. So I think that's fine.
Yes, that was exactly, wasn't, but I did want to say something similar to that. Like, they're not really competing, as it were. They're both kind of found their place. Like, PlayStation and all that, they're accepting indie games with open arms. I
mean, it's more kind of gaming's just been on the up and up for like over the last 10 years or arguably like 20 years. So it's going to be interesting if we get to a point where gaming does go downhill with the high development costs. Then I think maybe we will see this kind of more of approach towards games having to be better. I mean, there's kind of been this whole thing with game costs of AAA titles being more... if it's bad and doesn't sell, then oh my god, that's terrible because they invested so much money into it. Which is why Ubisoft delayed Watch Dogs to make sure it's really good. And there was the whole big thing with the Alien franchise where Sega is now making sure it's going to be really good. And they did the same with Sonic. So the reaction out of these people were never, let's go to indie games. It was, let's make these games better. We got to make sure these games are good, because if they're good, they will sell, and they will sell for a long period of time, and people will like them. And with the internet culture, the game will sell itself if it's actually good. So I think they've kind of just ignored the indie market and kind of moved on. I mean, it's a different story when it comes to the mobile games, but they're not kind of indie in the same way. So yeah,
there you go. Yeah, well put.
Awesome.
Thanks for the question.
Of course, and as Joe already mentioned, if you have any questions or thoughts or feelings, or you want to make a gay joke, because that will make us laugh apparently, send it to onlytrashierpodcast@gmail.com.
Triple gay. It's not just double gay.
That's so gay. That's so gay.
We should probably end off
We
here.
should.
Oh
dear.
End it on that, great.
Yeah, that's a killer one though. That's good. People are going to be thinking during the week, oh, the guys. Triple gay. Oh.
Fantastic.
Alright, let's end it off. So, as always, thank you for joining me, MrMuckluckable.
Thank you very much.
Anything you want to talk about? Oh, it would have been, your special would have started today, wouldn't it? The PS1 one.
Yeah, PS1 week, which hopefully every day this week is going to be a PS1 game.
That actually is the concept, wrapped up quite nicely.
Yeah, it's kind of in the name, really. PlayStation 1 week.
Yeah.
There you go. Actually, no, that implies Saturday and Sunday. It's just Monday to Friday.
Yeah, so it'll be like the Simpsons week, but PS1.
Yes, exactly. Exactly that.
Cool. And also with me, I put up the Super Mario 3D World review, so go check that out. I'm happy with it, and the way it came out, but there was a couple of things I kind of missed off. It's kind of weird though, because you did your anniversary video where you broke down your old video, or your original Simpsons Let's Play. And that got me thinking about my videos. It's like, I know I was crap, but I should go check it out. And I had a weird moment where I watched my 007 Legends review, because it was one of my original ones, and I watched Skyfall. So I was like, hey, I want to go check out that review and just have a look at it. And I had a similar thing where I just kind of sounded a bit bored, but at the time I was really happy with that review. I was like, wow, this came out really good, and the editing wasn't terrible, the points I was making were good, and it kind of made me a little sad that it wasn't actually as good. And nowadays I just sound a lot more into it when it comes to the reviews. So it was a bittersweet moment.
Yeah, I suppose it's good, but it's bad because it's bad, but it's also good because you realise that you have got better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just sad that that review isn't bad, by the way. It's just you can just hear it in my voice. It's just different. I guess I was trying to be more professional because I was reading a script, so I was just trying to be more just here's the words. But now it's a bit more to it. But yeah, Super Mario 3D World. Go check that out. My review. Alright, so that's it for this week. So we'll see you next week.
See you later.